Welcome to the homework solution tutorial on 2D to 2E. Here I'm going to cover questions 22, 23, 24 just for this video. It says to find the zero of each quadratic by factoring. So we have to be careful with our steps. So the first step is here's step one, is to just factor whatever method we have. Then step two, we're going to do set equal to 0, then solve. Okay, those are your two major steps. All right, let's do 22. We need to factor this. Okay, I've noticed this does look like my ax squared plus bx plus c. So since a equals to 1, we have our traditional trinomial, find p and q. So I make my x. I want to find two numbers that multiply to make 2 that adds to 3. So what I'm going to pick is going to be 1 and 2. 1 times 2 gets you 2. 1 plus 2 gets you 3. So it is x plus 1, x plus 2. I just factored that. So I am done factoring. So this is factored 4. Now I set it equal to 0. That's the key here. Set it equal to 0. There are two separate problems here. You have your x plus 1 equaling to 0. Then you have your x plus 2 equaling to 0. Okay, now we can solve. To solve, we just get the variable by itself by doing the inverse. So I can subtract 1 to both sides. This leaves me with x is equal to negative 1. We can now subtract 2 to both sides, giving you x is equal to negative 2. We can say that these are your solution. We can also call that these are your zeros. Let me now show you something. If you go to Desmos, to find a zero visually, you just graph it. So we can just graph y is equal to x squared plus 3x plus 2. Notice that we can zoom it in. The x-intercepts here are negative 1 and negative 2. Do you see how that matches? Your solutions, your zeros, are also referred to your x values of your x-intercept. That is the best way to double check your work. All right, let's do 23 now. 23, same process, because we notice that a does equal to 1. So we use our P and Q method. So we want to find two numbers that multiply to make 5, that adds to make 6. The two numbers I pick are going to be 2 and 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. So in factored form, it will look like x plus 2 and x plus 3. Now we want to find a solution. So what we do is we set the factors equal to 0. So x plus 2 is going to be equal to 0. And then we set x plus 3 also equal to 0. We solve for x. So for x plus 2, we subtract 2 to both sides, leaving you with just x is equal to negative 2. Then you minus 3 to both sides. And then it gets you x is equal to negative 3. If we graph this, so I can go to Desmos and now graph it to check our work, to check your work. Okay, x squared plus 6x plus 5. Okay, notice where the x-intercepts are. The x-intercepts exist on right here. X is equal to, did I do this right? 5 and x is equal to 1. Uh-oh, I did something wrong. What two numbers multiply to make? Oh, you see, I messed up. I messed up my Q and P method. All right. So let's redo this. Remember, they have to multiply to make 5. Okay, that's where I screwed up. They have to multiply to make 5. Okay, remember this is my C value here. All right, so P and Q have to be multiplied to make 5. This is my B value. This is when P plus Q is equal to 6. I picked the wrong number. It should have been 1 and 5. So the factors should have been 1 and 5. So let's just redo this all over again. Okay, and again, I show you this because you make these mistakes too. So I want you to be aware of it, how to fix it, and how to check your work. Because remember, we went to Desmos. We saw how the solutions didn't match ours. So this is how you check. So x plus 1 equals to 0, and x plus 5 will also equal to be 0. So now let's solve. We can now subtract 1 to both sides. This gets you your x equals to -1. You could also subtract 5 to both sides for this one, giving you x is equal to -5. Now let's check. See, -5 and -1. Those are your x-intercepts, you see, when y equals to 0. That is how we use Desmos properly to check our work. Great job. Okay, what about this? -3x squared minus 12x. Well, it looks like we could pull out a GCF first of all. That should always be the first thing that we should do. We could pull out a -3x here, which is your GCF. If you need more help on the GCF, please watch the other videos. So once we pull out that -3x here, what do we have on the inside? We have just an x and we have a plus 4. Okay, this is in factored form, right? Now we set to find the solutions, we set them equal to 0. So the first one was -3x. We set that equal to 0. Then we also do x plus 4 equals to 0. It looks weird, but just continue the math. All right. So let's do the first one. How do you get x alone? Well, I can by just dividing by -3 to both sides. What is 0 divided by -3? Just 0. What about x plus 4 equals to 0? We subtract 4 to both sides, leaving you with x is equal to -4. Right? So that is your solution. How can we tell? Let's just graph it on Desmos to just double check our work. So it's -3x squared minus 12x. There are always two solutions because this is a quadratic. -4, do we have -4? Yes, we do. And we have 0, -4 and 0. There you go. Those are your solutions.